And we are live. Power of the Mastermind from Napoleon Hill's classic, Think of a Rich, which was written in 1937. Napoleon Hill calls it the driving force, the ninth step to riches. Persistence creates faith. From faith comes power, and power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans alone are inert and useless without sufficient power and to translate them into action. This chapter will describe the method by which an individual may attain and apply power. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term here is used, refers to organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through coordination of effort of two or more people who work toward a definite end in a spirit of harmony. Power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated. Let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized in knowledge, let us examine the three major sources of knowledge. One, infinite intelligence. Two, accumulated experience. And three, experiment and research. Here, too, creative imagination must often be used. Knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. Examination of the three major sources of knowledge will readily disclose the difficulty you will have dependent upon your own effort alone in assembling the knowledge and expressing it through definite plans in terms of action. If your plans are comprehensive and if they require vast sums of information, you must generally induce others to cooperate with you before you can inject them the necessary element of power. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual can have great power without availing himself or herself of the mastermind principle. In chapter 1, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purpose of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence and intelligence and use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group, your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. So you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. I'll here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one which is economic and the other which is psychic. The economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself or herself with advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of people who are willing to lend wholehearted aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may definitely determine your financial status. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces, which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third, invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to third mind. Keep in mind the fact that there are only two known substances in the universe, energy and matter. It is a well known fact that matter may be broken down into units of molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, and electrons. There are units of matter which may be isolated, separated, and analyzed. Likewise, there are units of energy. The human mind is a form of energy, a part of it being spiritual nature. When the minds of two people are coordinated in the spirit of harmony, the spiritual units of energy of each mind form an affinity which constitutes the psychic phase of the mastermind. The mastermind principle, or rather the economic feature of it, was first called to my attention by Andrew Carnegie. Back during the earliest years of my research, discovered this part of the principles responsible for the choice of my life's work. Mr. Carnegie Mastermind Group consisted of a staff of approximately 50 individuals with whom he surrounded himself for the definite purpose of manufacturing and marketing steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated through his mastermind. Analyze the record of anyone who has accumulated great fortune and many who have accumulated modest fortunes, and you'll find that they have either consciously or unconsciously employed the mastermind principle. Great power can be accumulated through no other principle. Energy is nature's universal set of building blocks, out of which she constructs every material thing in the universe, including human beings and every form of animal and vegetable life. Through a process which only nature completes understands, she translates energy into matter. Nature's building blocks are available to humanity in the energy involved in thinking. The human brain may be compared to an electric battery. It absorbs energy from what we may call the mysterious unifying force of the universe, which permeates every atom of matter, including the atoms that compose the human brain, fills the entire universe. It is a well-known fact that a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. It is also a well-known fact that individual battery will provide energy in proportion to the number of capacity cells it contains. The brain functions in similar fashion that accounts for the fact that some brains are more efficient than others. That leads to the significant statement. A group of brains coordinated or connected in the spirit of harmony will provide more thought energy than a single brain, just as a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that the mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by people who surround themselves with the minds of other capable individuals. There follows now another statement which will lead still nearer to an understanding of the psychic phase of the mastermind principle. Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. Within an exceedingly short period of 10 years, Mr. Ford mastered these three handicaps, and within 25 years, he made himself one of the richest people in America. Connect with those facts to the additional knowledge that Mr. Ford's most rapid strides became noticeable from the time he became a personal friend of Thomas A. Edison, and you'll begin to understand what the influence of one mind upon another can accomplish. Go a step further and consider the fact that Mr. Ford's most outstanding achievements began from the time he formed the acquaintances of Harvey Firestone, John Burroughs, and Luther Burbank, each an individual of great intelligent capacity, and you'll have further evidence of the power that may be produced through a friendly alliance of minds. There is little, if any, doubt that Henry Ford was one of the best informed leaders of the business and industrial world of his time. The question as well needs no discussion. Analyze Mr. Ford's intimate personal friends, some of whom have already been mentioned, and you will be prepared to understand the following statement. Individuals take on the nature and the habits and the power of thought of those whom they associate in the spirit of sympathy and harmony. Henry Ford whipped poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance by allying himself with great minds whose vibrations of thought he absorbed in his own mind. Through his association with Edison, Burbank, Burroughs, and Firestone, Mr. Ford added to his own brain power the sum and substance of the intelligence, experience, and knowledge and spiritual forces of these four individuals. Moreover, he appropriated and made use of the mastermind principle through the methods of procedure described in this book. This principle is available to you. I've already mentioned Mahatma Gandhi. Perhaps the majority of people who know anything about Gandhi look upon him as just a person making trouble for the British government. In reality, Gandhi was not eccentric, but he was the most powerful man alive during his time, judging by the number of followers he had and their faith in him. Moreover, he is arguably one of the most powerful individuals who ever lived. His power was passive, but it was real. Let us study the method by which he attained his stupendous power. It may be explained in a few words. He attained power through inducing more than 200 million people to cooperate with mind and body and spirit in harmony for a definite purpose. In brief, Gandhi accomplished a miracle. For it is a miracle when 200 million people can be induced, not forced, to cooperate in the spirit of harmony. for a limitless time. If you doubt that this is a miracle, try to induce any two persons to cooperate in the spirit of harmony for any length of time. Every individual who manages a business knows that a difficult matter it is to get employees to work together in a spirit even remotely resembling harmony. The list of the chief sources from the power may be attained as headed, has been well known by infinite intelligence. When two or more people coordinate in a spirit of harmony and work toward a definite objective, they place themselves in a position through that alliance to absorb power directly from the great universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. This is the greatest of all sources of power. It is the source to which the genius turns. It is the source to which every great leader turns, whether consciously or not. The other two major sources from which the knowledge necessary for the accumulation of power may be attained, accumulated experience and experimental research, are no more reliable than the five human senses. The senses are not always reliable. However, infinite intelligence does not err. In subsequent chapters, the methods by which infinite intelligence may be most readily contacted will be adequately described. This book is not a course on religion. No fundamental principle described in this book should be interpreted as being intended to interfere either directly or indirectly with any person's religious habits. This book is confined primarily to instructing the reader how to transmute the definite purpose of desire for money into its monetary equivalent. Read, think, and meditate as you read. Soon the entire subject will unfold and you'll see it in perspective. For now, you're seeing the detail of the individual chapters. Money is shy and elusive. It must be wooed and won by methods not unlike those used by the determined lover in pursuit of the beloved. And coincidental as the power used in the wooing of money is not greatly different from that used in the wooing of a person. That power, which successfully used in the pursuit of money, must be mixed with faith. It must be mixed with desire. It must be mixed with persistence. It must be applied through a plan, and that plan must be set into action. When money comes in quantities known as big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. There exists in life a great stream of power which may be compared to a river, except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward to wealth, while the other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into it and not able to extract themselves from it, downstream to the misery and poverty. Every person who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life. It consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotions of thought form and the side of the stream which carries one to fortune. The negative emotions form the side which carries one down to poverty. Understanding that you yourself can control where you'll be in the stream of life is of stupendous importance to the person who was following this book with the object of accumulating a fortune. For such understanding leads to the recognition that anybody can wish for riches. And most people do, but only a few know that a definite plan plus a burning desire for wealth are the only dependable means of accumulating wealth. If you find yourself in the side of the stream of life which leads to poverty, understand that you have within you the power to propel yourself over to the other side of the stream. Your oar is the philosophy and the principles set forth in this book. They can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment on these principles, either one way or another, will no way benefit you. You must take your oar in hand and act. Some people undergo the experience of alternating between the positive and negative sides of the stream, being at times on the positive side and at times on the negative side. Recent economic hard times have swept millions of people from the positive to the negative side of the stream. These millions are struggling, and some of them in desperation and fear to get back to the positive side of the stream. This book was written especially for those millions. Poverty and riches often change places. Rapidly changing economic conditions have taught the world this truth. Although many people may not long remember the lesson, poverty may and generally does voluntarily take the place of riches. When riches take the place of poverty, the change is usually brought about through well-conceived and carefully executed plans. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it because it is bold and ruthless. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. but they will rarely become attracted and retained until one learns first to tap the power of the mastermind and then proceed to understand the 10th step to riches, which involves the mystery of sex transmutation and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm comes from the Greek word enthos, means God within. So when you're enthusiasm and you're enthusiastic about something, that means you're coming from the place of God within, which is definitely linked to the word inspiration, which means inspired, to be in spirit. So you want to be inspired and you want to have enthusiasm for whatever you're doing. And that will make your goals and dreams come more quickly and abundantly. Thank you.